giggles right before we start this. They never know how to start it.
Giggle, giggle. Hey guys, what's up, everyone?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. That's how we started every video on our YouTube channel, because that's what all the kids are doing.
That's what all the influencers do.
It's true. Hey, welcome back to a new episode. Sorry we're a week behind, you guys. Life is what it is, and we're all gonna get over it.
I don't think they really missed a beat though. I don't think anyone's like waiting for us to drop weekly episodes.
I don't know.
Just staring at their phone, waiting for that notification.
Come on. There it is. Click it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, yeah. I mean, it's been a wild January already. December was I would say Christmas was very calm and very chill.
Yeah, we've done an episode since Christmas.
Oh yeah, definitely. But everybody that asks me, like I got a haircut today and I don't see her, except for one time a month. She said, "How was your Christmas?" And I went, "Christmas was very chill," which is, great. But January,
not chill.
Not chill at all.
It's a little chilly outside, but there's no chill.
And then it heated up and expanded, and now it's the sun.
I mean, I'm sick again, so we love that for me.
Yeah, but you're always sick.
But here's the thing. I have just recently have gotten sick. I used to never get sick, remember?
Yeah, no, it's true. You're recently, consistently. Is that painting new?
Oh, no, I moved it. Remember, I painted that during COVID.
Sorry, I got really distracted just now, but I was looking up and there it is.
Because, my sister came. I mentioned before I was interviewed for a true crime documentary. It was a podcast. Well, not podcast, but like video. Zoom. And so my sister, she came over here since I have the setup, remember? And so she just did it on the opposite side, but I didn't want it to look like it was the same room. So I had the bookcase behind me and I put a painting so the wall didn't look like a blank wall behind her.
You know my favorite part about this?
They can't see it.
They can't see it. But it's not centered with the wall or anything. It's specifically hung
specifically for that Zoom moment. Call. Yeah, and that was over a week ago.
It's just randomly
still there
on the wall. It's just kind of.
It's completely not
it's just there. Good stuff. But yeah, that happened. But yeah, January's been it's been pretty wild. And so what we thought we would do today is not really hit on a specific topic per se, which is Spanish for exactly. I don't know. Per se is French, I think.
I don't even know what you're talking about right now.
People are like, it's not that per se. Per se means
English.
By itself or in itself.
Is it not English?
No. Apparently it's a French restaurant in New York. Cool. Anyways, no, we don't have like a specific topic that we're talking about per se, but we did want to recap some of the stuff that's happened recently and dialogue about it.
Let's go.
Sorry, we're not super motivated for this episode.
I just really get annoyed when we don't have an outline.
Well,
or like a direct topic or conversation.
Yeah, it is true. But I do think that this helps us to stick closer to the original heart of the pod, which was to verbally process the things that are happening in our life. And so, yeah, we're just gonna do a little diary of what's been happening the past couple weeks. So, major one is that today we just wrapped up the last of the corporate gatherings of our 21 days of prayer, which means no more waking up at 4:45. And taking a beard shower, which is different than an everything shower. Like, it's just different. And, driving to the church and doing the whole thing and then getting off work at 2:30 and having a really shifted schedule. So that was great. That was cool to see everything happen for that. I really enjoyed that. Not necessarily.
Not waking up early.
Honestly, it wasn't ever hard to wake up early. The hardest thing was the schedule shift.
Yeah, because you couldn't work out.
At the time, I normally do, yeah. It was just a major schedule shift, but I thought it was really cool to hear from all of our campus pastors with their devotions and hear from all the worship teams and stuff. What was your favorite part about that?
I just liked being able to see and connect with everyone because we like you said, everyone would come together at the Somerville campus whenever it was their turn to lead worship or preach. So we got to see some friends we don't get to see very often. I had like about 45 minutes to kill before work, so I kind of bugged the staff and
That was fun.
yeah, hung out, distracted them a little bit. So that was always a good time. But it just for me personally, it made going to work really, really hard.
Yeah.
And I'm finding I just love my job. Well, I never loved my job, but I am tolerating it less and less. So, and then today I had an evaluation yesterday, feedback today. So I didn't do everything that they wanted. So it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But I didn't hit the mark. So now I'm just like, well, I don't even want to go back next week.
You finding the grace is leaving for it? Your grace meter is down?
I still like the kids. It's just like I got in trouble. He came for the longest period, which is third period, and I did all my lesson. I taught for like an hour.
It's a long time.
Literally. We did our worksheet, and he was like, well, you still have like 30 minutes left of class. It's like, yes, because you came for the 2-hour class, not my 90-minute classes. Jeez. And so I showed a like chef video, but he was like, you should have done this and this. And then there was like one thing too. I don't make them write down every single thing on the PowerPoint because they have it for reference.
Right.
In the notes online. And so he's like, I didn't like it's just like little picky things. Like that was his preference, but you don't like it. Obviously, I don't do well with critiques. I know that about me. But then it's like, we can't even get adults to pay attention for a 20-minute message on Sundays, and you want me to teach these kids and be actively engaged for 90 minutes, bell to bell, which I do most times. But it's just one of those things. And so I think I just don't want to go back next year. So if anyone's hiring...
You're going to put out 85 resumes again?
I don't know if I'm not miserable, so I'm not going to go out and put out like 85 resumes. I have one, for an event job that I'm hoping might come of something. And then I hear at another business that they're going to be needing an HR person. So I would love to be an HR person for this like local business, but we'll see. It's like HR, payroll, finance, which is right up my alley. But it's just if we can, once the position becomes available, if the salary is going to meet because I have a minimum. So that's going to be hard. But we'll see. I mean, I know the Lord guides the steps and yada, yada, yada.
Wow. I feel like you don't know that.
I do know that. That's why I'm saying I understand. But at this moment, it's just one of those...
It's always hard when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah, right. And I'm just... bleh.
Yeah, it stinks.
But I know...
Sorry you had a bad day.
I wouldn't even say it was like a bad day, but it was just... I don't love it. I'm like, let me do what I want to do. You guys need teachers anyway. But it's good to have those standards because you don't want slack teachers.
Oh, yeah.
And I hear about all these slack teachers, but it's not because I'm so new. It's my evaluation year. And so, like, if I were to stay, I don't think I would be evaluated for another 5 years.
True.
But, and then those slack teachers, they know more of the red tape and stuff. So whenever the evaluator walks in, they know exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, and maybe they went to college for education.
Yeah. So they know exactly what to say. Like, I should have been asking students more questions to repeat after me, but it's just, I mean, they're not paying attention anyway. Like, the students' motivation and interest is just not there. So I feel like I'm talking to brick walls.
I think it's cool that you're going through this, though, and that even more so that, I don't want to make this sound weird, but that you don't enjoy it. Because here's what I remember. I remember back in, you've mentioned wanting to be a teacher for a very long time. It's true you have.
No, I wanted to go to culinary instructor at a college. That is not a high school teacher.
Good clarity. Yes, true. Well, I didn't say high school teacher.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher.
But no, it's culinary instructor.
I can't change
it's kind
what
of,
you have selected and the level of education you've selected to teach now. But you have mentioned, ever since we were dating, wanting to teach culinary.
Wanting to be a culinary instructor back at my college.
Yeah. And I would always go, I don't know, like, I just feel like your patience level isn't really there. And the crazy thing is, so, okay, one, before I get sidetracked, because we all know in this, sphere of listening that I do get crazy distracted.
Per se, yes.
Yes. God, it's leaving. Okay, hurry. But I love that you started to do this, and you've realized that it may not be your sweet spot, and now you're looking elsewhere. But you still tried it, which is awesome.
Yeah, but then it's kind of, because I've thought a lot of things, and I've always gone, my last 3 jobs, I'm like, well, maybe this will be my last job. Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
I
you said
haven't
that.
really loved
Which is
the
fine.
past 3 positions, which is fine, but it's one of those things.
It's kind of annoying.
I would enjoy to have a career and work my way up the ladder or something, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Just conform, Liz. Just sell your soul and your happiness. Just
Be a robot?
Yeah, just be a robot. Then you can do it. Oh, but I think it says a lot about you that you like putting all of you into what you do. So if you
Yeah.
don't enjoy it, then it's kind of a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, if something open, and that's why I'm not too worried with my diverse skill set.
Skill set.
We just have to make sure the check is the right price with my next job, since we have the most bills we've ever had
Yeah,
at this season.
it's true. But that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I know something will open up. Or, like I said, thankfully, I'm not miserable. So if I do teach next year, I'm not going to be miserable doing it.
Yeah. My gosh, our house is about to blow down with this wind.
Didn't know it was supposed to be windy.
I think it's blowing in the super cold weather.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm already sick.
Yeah.
Also, why am I getting sick so much? I feel like I've been sick.
Is that a serious question that you want me to dialogue with you about?
Kind of.
Okay, let's talk about it. I believe that when you drink water consistently,
I do.
When you work out consistently,
Do
and
not.
you take a multivitamin consistently,
Do not.
and you watch what you eat,
I
and
do.
you maybe do some nebulizing vocal stuff with some saline into your stuff.
Do not.
I think that pays dividends. That's all stuff that you do, Taylor. That's exactly right, Liz. And can you tell me when in the past month I've gotten sick, despite being on stage for the majority of my life and waking hours during this month?
You're the worst. I don't
I
feel
asked you
good.
if you wanted to go there.
Be nice to me. I've had a hard day. God.
It's been a long... I don't even know the rest of the song. Anyways.
That's not even the song. You were changing the whole.
No, it's been a long day without you, my friend.
Is it day?
I
thought it was
about
time.
it when I see you. Oh, maybe it's time. A long time. Without... No, it's been a long... I don't know.
Okay. Don't Google it. Continue.
So today, as we jump into a hard shift, as we jump into what we're talking about, we got back recently. We've just gotten back from a 3-day ministers breakaway in Hilton Head with the South Carolina Assemblies of God. And it was very cool. It was really... it was a really good time. Rented out a bunch of rooms and a conference room at the Omni. And had a guest speaker, had a phenomenal guest worship leader.
Yeah, he was really cute. Was it you?
Liz, you can't say that. Just kidding.
It was you.
Just kidding, everybody.
It was Taylor Clyde.
I did get to lead worship for it, which was really cool. Why I committed to do that in the middle of January, I'll never know.
Okay, well, before you, I always joked, Bob Sandler, our super,
Superintendent.
he is superintendent.
District soup.
Okay, district. That's what I was. District superintendent. I knew I was missing a word. He asked you in like October, I think, about it.
Yeah.
And so that was before they even announced the previous worship people transitioning out. So you said yes before you knew you were going to be over all of worship for 21 days.
LOL.
So I was telling Bob, I'm like, man, you knew before anyone else where Taylor needed to be.
Wow.
Then the discernment in Bob.
The anointing.
The
on
anointing
Bob.
in Bob. He is a great leader.
Yes, and that means say no. But it was a really, really great time. It was cool to get away. They were gracious to cover the hotel room, and so that just meant that we had a kind of like a little vacation.
Yeah, and they gave us a food allowance too, but we have to turn in the receipts. So
we do need to send those in. Yeah,
tomorrow.
Get that taken care of. But yeah, it was really nice. I was really excited that you got to go with me, Liz.
Yeah,
That made it better.
usually I don't take the time to get off of work, but honestly,
It was a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
yeah, but we were already off for MLK Day
That worked out super well.
Thank you, Emily K. And I'm sure they did that on purpose because people will like pull kids from school.
No,
Parents, some minister are wild with their parenting.
No shot they did that on purpose.
Yeah, no. You don't think they did that on purpose?
Absolutely not.
Are you sure?
100%.
I'm going to look at previous calendars because it's always around the same time every year. So I think they do.
Maybe.
But
it was a really cool time. And I think one of the coolest parts was just how I don't want to make this sound any kind of way, but as somebody who in the past had struggled with feeling like they fit in and feeling like they belong in certain spaces, let's see, 15 years ago me, or maybe even like 5 years ago me, if we go back that recent, maybe, would have felt really uncomfortable in that room with all those different people. But one of the things that stuck out to me was how well received that we were as a couple and how genuinely kind that people were. Mm-hmm. They really made me feel like special. And I think it maybe is the fact that I'm getting older. I think I appreciate that stuff more, that community. And it's not just going into an environment and leading worship, singing my songs and then leaving. Now it's about, hey, I mean, as a side note, my mindset when I lead worship has completely shifted from where it was even 5 years ago, into much more of a pastoral, overarching kind of view and more general, what's happening in the room, not necessarily what's happening on my music stand.
Do you think you would have gotten that perspective if you would have stayed in worship this whole time, or because you got out of worship into the associate role and then into the creative role, and now you're in worship, you appreciate it more?
Hard to say. I will say that the experiences that I've had, the opportunities that I've been able to do and to take part in have definitely shaped them. And I don't think I personally would have been able to do that without those things. But maybe, I don't want to say like it's not an age thing too, because I look at some worship leaders that have been worship leaders for just a solid long time, and they've got a great perspective. But yeah, maybe it is just because I got around, I got to see different levels of how things operate, and yeah, probably helped a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you led the dream team at Goose Creek, and were you ever over groups? I think you led group leaders.
I was over group leaders, yeah.
So I think with that, you cared more about the whole in your associate role than just worship. So I think that really provided a really great perspective for you.
Yeah.
And same with creative, you had to care about the whole, like even the behind the scenes thing that, I mean, before you got into the creative world, did you ever care about the video announcements? Or the calendar as much?
No, only frustrated that we get them so late.
Yeah, but now you understand.
Funny because now I get them out late.
Right? So now once again, perspective.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true.
It's like Ratatouille. Give me perspective.
Honestly, that was where I knew it was going to be a great week, because the guest speaker that we had opened up his first conversation by going, there's a movie called Ratatouille, and in the movie, and I went, oh boy, I love this. It's one of my favorite movies.
It is a great movie.
It's so good. But I love it. And with the last 10 minutes or so that we have, with you, I'd like for us to kind of dialogue about what we talked about in the Minister's Breakaway, because I think that not only did he share some cool stuff that we want to share with you guys, but also I think that we've got a cool perspective that we can share too on it and stuff. But he approached pretty much the whole 3 days. He really focused on conversation of anointing. And that is a word that I have always not really known what to do with. Because to me, especially in the worship world, especially in the Pentecostal worship world, and in a charismatic environment, I think I have felt like that word has been just flippantly passed around. And people have been like, oh, when you sing really well or loud, or you can flow really well or something like that, like, you can rhyme your words just right, people go, man, you're anointed. And I was like, I don't really know what that means, and I don't think you really know what that means. I think you're just saying it to be nice, but I don't want to claim that because that seems like a really heavy, spiritually heavy word. So I never really knew what to do with it, but I loved how he talked about anointing. And really quickly, I don't know what I want to start with. I want to share the common misconceptions about the anointing, but I also want to share the story that he had about the guy. What do you think I should start with?
Misconceptions.
Okay, so misconceptions. So when we think about the anointing, and we're going to fly through this really fast, just rapid fire with me. There's several things he says that are common misconceptions regarding the anointing. First, you have to pray super hard in order to receive the anointing. You've got to be like on your face all the time, throwing dirt in your eyeballs and like intense prayer. Another one, he says you've got to seek a fresh anointing for each message, if you're a pastor in that kind of context, or a ministry demand, or I would say like a new season. Another one, he says the anointing comes and goes. Here today, gone tomorrow. Another one, he says the anointing is dependent upon speaking in tongues. Another one is the anointing is for miracles and supernatural work only. That was a super good one. Mm-hmm. He says the anointing is from heaven and returns to heaven when we die. And he unpacked that a little bit. That was pretty interesting. And then the last one, the anointing dwells in my spirit. So some pretty deep stuff, and he unpacks all of those. I do not have the time to go through each one of those, but I just thought it was so interesting when he talked about this, especially the anointing comes and goes, and the anointing is for miracles and supernatural work only.
And you have to like pray really, really hard for it. That was the one that stuck out to me.
Yes. And then you got to seek a fresh anointing for each message or each ministry demand, because I found myself praying that so many times. So that was really cool stuff. But I think the biggest part for me from his talk was when he mentioned the story about this older gentleman that was in his church. I think he said he was like in his 70s, maybe 80s, super old. But he said that he was, he's been in his church forever and for about as long as he has, if not a little bit longer. And he's in the hospital and some things had happened and he's just, he feels like he's ready to go home. And he said, man, that's just a pretty great testimony, right? That he would have such a peace in his heart that he would just be ready to leave. And so our guest speaker was Charlie Tuttle, by the way. And so Charlie goes, so I started to pray with him. And as I prayed, he said, I found the following words coming out of my mouth. And he starts talking about how as he prayed, he felt led to just say, man, you cannot leave the earth. It's not, basically,
it's
you can't
not
leave the
time
earth.
yet.
It's not time for you to leave yet. He says that he felt like the Lord was telling him to tell the guy, there's still things that you have to do. Because,
that I need.
Yes, because he needs and because I can't do.
Yep.
And so he prays this thing and...
Which sounds really selfish.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Well, I don't know if it was coming from Charlie or that he was saying what the Lord was.
Right.
So
right.
it was
but
like,
even
hey,
then, but it's so bold to say. I mean, he's
so
little.
bold.
The dude is literally on his deathbed.
He's ready to die.
Yeah, and he
At
was
peace
like,
with it.
"You cannot leave because I need what you have. Until I can reproduce what you have, it's not time for you to leave."
I'm glad you said that. He said that was the big thing that really caught him because as he's leaving and he's going back to his car to drive home, he kind of started feeling some kind of way, and he's like asking the Lord, like, Lord, what does this guy have that I don't have? I've got the education. I went to school. Like, I did this stuff. I've got the experience. I've got the position. I have why is it that you told me to tell him that he can't leave because there's things that I can't do? And so the Lord started to unwrap this whole thing. And the beautiful part of the story is that the Lord told him, he says, Charlie, he can't leave because he is carrying a lifetime of service to the people. And what he brings to that gathering is something that you can't bring to the gathering. And basically shared a whole bunch more on that.
But what stuck out to me was the man on the deathbed. He was like just weeping and crying because he's like, out of all the pastors I've served under, you're the first one to say anything like that to me.
Yeah.
And so often we can just look at a guy who shows up to usher and maybe smile and think that's only an usher.
Yeah.
But the Lord sees so much more. And people have so much more potential than you can even imagine.
It's true. And it was I cried when he said that, because for the first time, it was like a light bulb went off in my mind of what anointing is. I had been thinking for the longest time, anointing is some supernatural impartation from heaven to give you the power to literally sneeze on somebody and they fall out in the spirit. I don't know, like in some weird twisted way in my mind, I think that like that was something. Obviously, I had a different grasp of it, but if I just had to summarize it, distill it down, that's what I'm kind of thinking anointing is, some kind of thing for only miraculous things or supernatural work. But when he said that about that guy was an usher that just attended his church, he said he wasn't in the top whatever percentage of givers in the church.
Wasn't the most dynamic guy. Wasn't the most charismatic.
No. Yeah. But he said from my perspective now, when he said that, it lit up that stuff in my heart. And suddenly I realized I am anointed. I do carry an anointing. And that's why I can flow and operate more effortlessly in certain things than other people can. Not a brag. I loathe Christians bragging on stuff like that, especially. But that is something that I've come to terms with. The biggest takeaway for me this past week was that comfortability to go like, yeah, no, I'm anointed in this. I've had so many people follow up with me after this month and after this week to go like, hey, how are you? Like, I know you're slammed. Like, this is the craziest month ever. Like, what's going on? And it is true that my schedule is full, but also my heart is full. And like a year ago, that would not have been the case.
No.
I would have been...
We were not Happy Taylor a year ago.
No, I would have been like completely burnt out. But
well, that's one of the reasons why we started the podcast. We needed you to have an outlet.
Yeah, which this has been so cool. We've gotten to hash this all out, and now it's come full circle, which is fun. Right. But it just, man, that was it was a really cool thing. I was really glad to have that kind of perspective. So.
Meanwhile, I just came for the break.
Yeah, and the snacks.
But that's what I wanted to do. I was like, I know I've been burning the candle at both ends. I don't think I've had a day off since maybe the day after Christmas off, but then I was in my feelings and I was sad, so Christmas was like emotionally draining for me. So it wasn't really a break. And which explains why I'm probably so sick. Like, I don't think I've really stopped in the last 4 months.
Yeah. It's been busy.
Mm-hmm. With like cakes and cookie classes and second job, third job, lackluster teaching job. But so I went with the intention of like, I will rest well these next 3 days. And I think I did. Still sick.
True.
Like I started feeling bad before the breakaway, but I do feel like I kind of got like, there was like a grace and I was able to not sound like death, and I had energy and I was able to rest. And then as soon as we got back yesterday,
maybe you slowed down for just long enough.
Yep, I slowed down and it was like boom.
I got you.
It's like, here's a cough, here's congestion.
So good. All right, let me give you 7 really quick things, rapid fire again, in the next 60 seconds that are lessons from that teaching on the anointing. And I'm going to put all of these in the description so you can kind of see them and you can do your own study on your own time. Number 1, the real purpose in your anointing becomes more visible as you age.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, so true. I think that's what I was referencing earlier.
And even what you were saying, we can just go a little over.
Sure.
But you don't overlook the small things and discount them as anointing, because you literally being able to smile at someone and you just don't know what that is. Or you being able to be friendly with someone. Not everyone can just smile at a stranger.
Yeah.
Not everyone can just like connect with anyone.
Yeah. So you're saying like don't discount the small things as
not being
removed
anointed.
from yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, I got you. Yeah. The longer you live, the stronger your anointing becomes. Kind of a reword of that first one, but I think very true, because the way that I operate now in ministry is so different than how I operated 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Your anointing grows to face greater future challenges.
Sadly, that's true.
Bummer, but
Dang
okay.
It. I'm stronger. But I mean, think about it. Like, it's whenever you're playing a video game, you upgrade levels so you have bigger bosses in the next level.
Yep. Yep. Number 4, anointing requires emotional maturity. That is true. I have seen people who are wickedly anointed. It's a weird way to say that, but just awesomely anointed, and they do not have the emotional maturity to, what I would say is to steward it. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds really, judgy, but number 5, anointing is irreplaceable. Whew. You have something nobody else has, so use it. Mm-hmm. Show up. Just show up. Don't even use it. Show up, and then you'll inadvertently use it. It'll just happen. Mm-hmm. But that is my I love that. I could go off on a massive tangent, but your anointing is irreplaceable. Number 6, anointing is at your disposal. You choose to operate in the anointing.
I think that's so good because so oftentimes people are like, well, Lord, why aren't you moving? He's like, well, he's already in the room. Why aren't you acknowledging
where you at, bro?
His presence?
Why aren't you operating in your anointing?
Yeah. It's like the same thing with like speaking in tongues. People just go and they pray and they expect like this crazy moment of boom and just start shouting and stuff. I'm like, sometimes it could happen like that. But usually it's not a crazy superpower type moment.
Can I tell you a story that happened this morning?
Sure. We're already over. Why not?
We finished up the prayer service this morning, and I was just walking across the auditorium, and people just linger, they talk, they hang out. Some people pray together, some people read the prayer request and pray over those. And somebody just screams, and I look back, and I had this face of like, what is wrong with you? Why are you screaming? What is happening? They were praying and literally pretty much receiving a breakthrough, and I went, oh shoot, I kind of forgot I was in a Pentecostal church for a second there. And so it was a good time. And the last thing, number 7, your anointing is bringing something into the world and keeping something out of the world, which I think talks about spiritual warfare, things like that.
Good stuff.
It is. I would call that an outline. Lizzo, I
didn't know you had that. You said, we're going to just talk about breakaway. And I'm like, all right.
I am cold and calculated. Don't you ever think that I don't have an intentional plan about anything I set out to do. Just kidding.
Calculated. That implies you can do math.
Anyway, hey, thanks so much for joining us for this episode. Listen, if
you can't math, in case you didn't know, listeners.
I'm trying to do a thing.
Okay, I'm good. Right, take us out, babe. Take us out.
All right. Hey, thanks so much for joining us for this episode. Listen, if it spoke to you, if you like this conversation, be sure to share it with a friend. If not, move on, ignore it, pretend like it didn't happen, and hang out with us next weekend where another episode will blow your socks off. And you'll really like that one if you didn't like this one. Be sure, as always, to follow us on Instagram at Elizabeth P. Clyde, at Taylor Clyde. Send us some episode ideas. Send us some ideas for some conversations that you'd like to have and for us to hash out. And as always, until next time.
Bye.
I didn't get to say see you on the flip side. We'll see you on the flip side.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you guys.